Hi, welcome to Third Eye Thinkers. I'm your host, Michelle Welch.
And I'm your host, Megan Benanti.
How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So today we are going to talk about empaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, on the way over here, or before I came, I decided just to, I know a lot about empaths. My headphones messed up here, so I'm going to fix it a second. It's slipping. I know a lot about the subject of being an empath, okay? Because, and I was going to say before I came over, I'll just finish that thought. I just looked up what's an empath because we think about it, empathy versus sympathy.
Right.
Okay, so really empathy is, the general thing is empathy is when you really can step into the shoes of someone or really feel that person versus feeling sorry for that person. You really feel the emotions of that person. Would you agree that that's
Absolutely.
pretty much the difference?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason that this topic is so important to me is that I truly believe that as long as I remember, I have been an empath. I'll just say this. I have come to the conclusion that I don't believe that everyone's an intuitive is an empath, but I think all empaths are probably intuitive.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair to say.
I'd say. Okay, so, but not all intuitives are necessarily empaths. It's just what I've observed. Okay.
Right.
So my husband, Roger, is definitely an intuitive. He's definitely a psychic, but I'm not sure that he's an empath. Okay. He doesn't feel everyone's emotions like I do. Okay. So it's just a thought. I could be wrong on that, but it's what it seems to me. But ever since I was little, I would take on the emotions of others, and I didn't know that that's what I was doing. Okay, so I, for a long time, have thought of it as a curse, and not a curse, but a problem,
Right.
because I wasn't taught what to do with it. So I would walk into a room, and up until, and I still do it when I don't catch myself and realize what I'm doing. I would walk into a room, and I can think of one specific example. I walked into a wedding shower that I had in my hometown. I was in law school, so should have been pretty confident, right? And I walked in the room, and I started feeling everyone's emotions. And I took those as all being directed at me. So it's kind of like reverse narcissism, okay? It's kind of what I think of as being an empath, because I was like, oh, they don't like me. And instead of thinking, maybe Megan's had a hard day, or maybe Zach, our producer, maybe he's, something's going on with him and he's tired, I would think they don't like me. And my mom at the time said, well, it's not always about you. And that's the way, and she wasn't being ugly. She was trying to help me realize it's not, they have their own things. But an empath will really absorb those emotions.
Yeah.
And so I really knew then that a lot of people, and I've realized now in the line of work I'm in, that people need help understanding what it is to be an empath and how to handle that.
Yeah.
That's why this topic is very important to me.
Oh, absolutely. There are times when I'm empathic, but I have an unusual ability to turn it off.
I know you do. Yeah, and I admire that, actually, because it really is it's confidence. Okay, it really comes to me, and Roger's the same. He just has this amazing confidence about him. So I do kind of equate the two, the confidence and the ability to turn it off.
Interesting.
And I haven't totally learned that yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on how, and hopefully this maybe will help some people, how to scan myself to decide what is mine and what is not mine.
Right.
So when am I feeling blue? Am I feeling down? Is that mine before I walk into a situation? Or am I picking up on the emotions of someone else?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, so I think the thing with it, though, is that a lot of people use it as an excuse. Okay, so there's a lot. If you get on all kinds of articles written on the 5 signs, the 20 signs, you're an empath, the 15 signs, you're an empath. And there, a lot of them are excuses to not deal with your own stuff, okay? And so I get to the point where, okay, come on, get with it, take responsibility for your own stuff. And so even though I know, yes, I'm an empath, I don't want to use it as an excuse.
Right.
Okay? So, so some of the things would be like, I can't go to the mall. I can't go, out into big crowds because I, get a headache, or I pick up on the energy of other people, and they get real whiny. Have you seen those articles?
Yeah, and I've seen people like that.
Yeah.
But I've also seen people that learn to deal with it really well.
Yeah.
And are like, well, okay, if I've got to go to the mall, or if I need to go shopping, they'll either go elsewhere, or they go really early or really late when it's not so busy. You know, and they shop on Amazon like the rest of us.
Right.
But yeah, you've got to know, you do have to know where you end and someone else begins. But there's also a sense of kind of not caring. And I don't mean to sound cold or cruel. And when I'm in a reading with someone, I am 100% committed to them. But when I'm outside of a reading, I've got kids, I've got dogs, I've got, a million other things I got to be focusing on. And it's not going to be picking up on other people's energy that I don't have time for.
Yeah, exactly. So I really have had people, again, this is something that comes up all the time, like probably the second most, if not third most thing that comes up in my store and with a bunch of people I read for. Okay, it's like, I'm an empath. And actually, there's people that are very proud of it. I'm an empath. And for me, it was always very difficult. Okay, I think it's kind of the, I may offend some people here. I think it's kind of the entry level of intuition. Okay, is being an empath. So I don't mean that rude.
No,
I'm just going to throw it out there. I just think, okay, so you're an empath and you learn to deal with that. Okay, and then you can start working into more of your intuition. So that'll probably tick some people off. But I think it's kind of the foundation of your psychic abilities is being, aware and getting in tune with other people's emotions, or even what's going on with them, maybe physically a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there'll be people who will, come in the store and they're like, I need help because I mean, literally, they will be, I can't hug someone. I can't get, don't come any closer because I will pick up on your emotions and your whatever. And so I do think we really have to talk about how to give people that are, empathic tools to not use it as an excuse to just go in a hole and become almost like agoraphobic.
Right.
All right. Is that the right word? Agoraphobic? Yeah. So I almost thought I said the spider word. What's that one?
Arachnophobia.
We don't want to be that either.
No, agoraphobic is when you're afraid to leave the house.
Yeah, so that. But it's a huge issue. It really is. Because people will take on other people's emotions, and then they will think, whether it's, there's long lists. And if you really, seriously, if you Google it, I'm talking, it's been in Cosmopolitan. It's very mainstream that people use this whole, I'm an empath, so I can't.
That is such a shame. Now, that's not a word we use much in my family, but I definitely have family members that are very empathic. And I've got to say for them, now they don't know they're empathic.
Yeah. But
they struggle because they are picking up on things, and they do take it on, and I see that. But it's interesting. We've always, a lot of times we've cracked it up to other sort of social disorders or whatever. And, but yeah, I guess if they discovered that word, they could use it in that way. But I think, we all have a responsibility with how we're going to interact with people and set boundaries for ourselves. And, when we were talking about protection, this is part of that. Don't come in as an open book. You can protect yourself and your own chakras, and it's not like you don't have to pick up on everybody else. That's actually a choice. And you need to learn to control that a little bit on your own. And we've got some modalities we'll go over with you today.
So each week we try to bring, and I think that's really interesting because it gets us talking about our subject. We bring an herb or a plant and a crystal. So talking about empaths, what plant or herb did you bring this week?
So I looked up myrrh because I was kind of trying to think about my own history and what was opening for me and to create empathy. And
that's a good way to look at it from the flip side of it.
Right. And that's where I was coming with it, is
Yeah.
how to be more empathic versus
so
how to
good.
turn it off.
Yeah. So there's both ways. Yeah.
It's I totally took a different turn on that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So myrrh, it's one of those ones, if you ever grew up in an Anglican church or a Catholic church, they always burn frankincense and myrrh. And those were like one of the gifts that the wise men had brought Jesus, that kind of thing. So myrrh is usually combined with something else, often frankincense, but it can be combined with other things, and it takes it to a higher vibration. So it's often burned as an incense, but it can also be infused as an oil, and so you can buy a straight oil, or a lot of people like incense. I find, for me, incense is it's smoky, and I find a lot of times they smell sort of the same to me because it's the scent of something burning. For a lot of people, though, that can be a very calming effect, and part of the benefits of it are actually to promote clear breathing. And, I do remember from the church and growing up and smelling that. It didn't smell like Nag Champa or any of the other incense I kind of grew up with, but it's a much more purified scent. And for me, that's significant. I like the clarity of a particular essence. And it's also going to stimulate capillary activity. It increases your digestion and absorption of nutrients. So that's going to be if you intake it orally. And just, generally it's going to purify the air around you. So if you want to be more empathic, that's going to help kind of open you up. And of course, when you look at yoga, it's all about breathing and connecting with the body and being open. And so you're listening to your body's needs and being empathic with your own body itself. So that's kind of where I was going with the myrrh. What about you? What did you bring for a crystal?
Okay, so I brought a couple things. So one of the things that I really work with a lot for healings and for quick clearings is I have selenite. Oops, sorry about that. I have selenite, and this one actually, I'm going to explain to you for those of you who can't see. Selenite is actually gypsum. It is what you use in that they make the plaster of Paris in the walls. Is that it's a white, very water can basically over time it's water soluble. Water will make it kind of just go away.
Oh, wow. I didn't
But
know
it
that.
takes a little bit. Okay, it wouldn't just immediately, if I dropped it in the water right now, go away. But it's plaster of Paris, and also the old cast that we would put on. But it will make you very sleepy. So if you have a hard time going to sleep, that's just a side benefit to selenite. It's one of my favorite things to use. But I call it the crystal sage. So if you don't want to light sage, the selenite's really good to use. Now, selenite can come in like a honey selenite too, and that'll be a little more invigorating. But the white selenite is so soothing. Now here, I've put some chakra little beads around it and some leather, but you can just use the white. They're wands. They also come in palm stones and tumbled stones. I actually get them in beads from a guy in California. They're very fragile. It's like wearing fine china. So, you can't knock them up against things. But I use them just like, kind of like if you were going through the airport and or the security and they have you like at the courthouse or something and they have you stand with your arms out. I would do it just like that and just sage or selenite all around you, just all around your aura. I would do that, right? And then I would take black kyanite. It looks like a broomstick, and I love black kyanite. Black kyanite comes in other colors, or kyanite comes in other colors, but the black kyanite is very clearing. It will just clear your auric field great too. So the selenite and the black kyanite together. So same thing, but I would just use it like just sweeping anything off of you that doesn't serve your best and highest good. So those are two things that work great for clearing and are incredible, for me, the very best things for empaths, just for you to just be clear of anything that doesn't serve you, okay? Now, I had to throw in, sorry, 3, and I don't have a picture of this one, but shungite is not actually a crystal. I told you I'm using that term always on this show loosely. It's a carbon. Shungite is from Russia. It was used after Chernobyl for all the radiation fallout. For those of you who can see, this is a wand. It's black, and when you get it, it can actually come off on your hand. It'll almost look like black chalk on your hand. I actually had a friend of mine, a lawyer friend of mine that comes to my store. She texted me. She goes, "I think you gave me some dyed beads," and and I'm like, "No, just don't wear it with white when you first get it. It'll go away after a while." But no, it's carbon, and it's Peter the Great used it, and you can actually put it right down in your water. It's a purifier.
Oh, wow.
But what I love about it, and I just, of course, I took it off because I put on all pink for today for this outfit. But usually I am never without my shungite beads, because what it does, shungite, is it meets you where you are, but it doesn't keep you there. And what I mean by that is, so if you're kind of really worried about what people, for those of us who are real empathic and we pick up on everybody's emotions and we take them on like a sponge, it will help us ward those off. And if we're kind of hyper and kind of getting agitated or some anxiety, it'll calm us down. And if we need a little boost, it'll lift us up.
Oh, that's great.
So it'll meet us where we are gently, but not keep us there. Another great thing to have, just as an aside, and I'm taking a little longer, sorry here, but
no worries. Go for it.
I have a lot of trouble with mechanics, with anything technology, as you saw with my phone. They're little black discs of shungite that you can put. They come in all kinds of shapes. You put on the back of your phone. You can put them in between your phone case and your phone, or even just stick them on the back. Put them by your computer, because they help with EMFs. So the electric magnetic fields that are not good for us. So it's the same idea as they used them after Chernobyl. This is the only known, factually, like science proven, and I won't get into what fullerenes are, but they're shaped like soccer balls. And they're in shungite, and they are very, very helpful to us. So there's books and books about shungite and the purifying and good effects for us. So they also help empaths.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
I wonder when they're going to start coming out with that in a face mask.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm sure
Body armor. And I put on Facebook the other day, I want a whole case for my phone, just the whole thing. I don't need just one little thing back here. I need the whole case.
You need a whole case.
A whole case, yeah, and for my computer too, because I tend to blow up all technology. Yeah. Yeah. But so that's, but it's really good. The selenite, I'll just tell you, if you don't sleep well, selenite really will, especially for those of us who do tend to go to bed and then we rethink the minute you get in bed. And empaths do this. They'll think, I wasn't very good on the show today. Oh, at work, I shouldn't have said that to so-and-so. In the meeting, I didn't say that just right. Or I don't know if so-and-so liked me today. Okay, that's not always a lack of confidence. Sometimes it's just that you're absorbing other people's emotions and you're taking them on as your own, and it's really not you. It's you taking on their emotions. It's kind of hard to explain unless you feel it yourself, but those of you who feel it yourself, you know what I'm talking about. Right. When you're truly an empath to that extent, you know what it feels like. Yeah. And it's a struggle. It can be a real struggle, and it can lead to a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
It really can.
so you can sleep with selenite, or you can put on some myrrh oil before bed. And I use different oils, essential oils, on a regular basis, where I'm putting them, um, you know, right at in between my collarbones, so I'm breathing that in, or on my wrists, and they can help with sleep, or to detoxify or protect whatever it is that you're
Right.
in need of.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah. I was thinking, you know, not to just belabor the point about empaths, but I can't emphasize enough for those of you who have children, young children. Children are coming in, I believe, very highly evolved.
oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, you know, and I think we were before, and we would have things conditioned out of us. We'd have imaginary friends, or we'd have whatever, and people, our parents would say, don't talk about that. I'd say always let your children talk about the things that they want to talk about, as far as their imaginary friends or something they may see or something they may know. Don't just assume something's wrong with them, because they may have that inner knowing, that third eye thinking.
Right.
But if they're very sensitive, my son, my oldest son that lives in California, he is an empath, no doubt about it, and a strong empath. And he struggles. He has some anxiety. And he had a teacher at a private school here in Dallas, which will remain unnamed, in kindergarten, call us in and say, he needs to toughen up. He's too sensitive. And I said, what I have learned to say to people when they say, I'm too sensitive, or your son's too sensitive, I've learned to say thank you. Because I think being sensitive is a good thing. And being sensitive to other people's emotions is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to learn to use some of these tools and protect yourself, so you're not having anxiety about it and worrying about it all the time. But, you know, I'd rather err on the side of caring for others, and with the myrrh, you know, being open and compassionate for others, than being hardened all the time. You know,
Right.
I'll take that any day.
Well, and one of the things we want to consider too with being an empath, or wanting to be an empath, is this is something you can develop, and you don't have to feel like, you know, how do I become more intuitive? You know, consider how someone feels. When was that time that you felt that way? Because some of our listeners are going to be wanting to be more empathic, and yes, tools are great, but also just apply it to your own life. It is stepping into someone else's shoes. It's in the tarot card, it's the hangman. It's feeling what they feel, and owning that. And it doesn't mean that you have to carry that with you. It's acknowledging it and then letting it go. So, because I feel like a lot of people are trying to get more connected, and that's a great place to start. But it is a step beyond sympathy. But, you know, there's really, truly just a handful of emotions, and that's what you're bringing it down to the root of. You know, whether someone's, you know, fallen down the stairs, or someone's been in a car wreck, the end result is the feeling of being physically hurt. And so it doesn't necessarily matter how we get there. And so that's what empathy, you know, and focusing on is going to bring that in. So whether you're warding off with crystals and myrrh, or you're trying to connect in, that's a two-way street, and you can go either direction with it.
Right. Yes.
So.
That's really good that we thought of it in a different way.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I was
that's
totally going
awesome.
the other direction with it.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. And so, and the thing is that learning the balance, the balance is all where it's at, you know, just finding the balance of anything that we do.
Yep.
And I will say this, because I would never get rid of my empathy.
No.
But I do think it's so important for us to work on finding the balance. And especially, I'm going to say it again, with the children.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they are coming in so empathic and with so much higher knowing, and than a lot of us have, actually. And let's not squelch that.
Yeah.
Do we want to answer some of the questions?
Let's look at some of our readings today. We'll pull from the box
Move
here.
this out of the way.
Okay. So Grace says, is there anything I can do to help meet my life partner? I'm unable to join dating sites because of my job. I'm open to suggestions. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know you couldn't join dating sites because of your job. I'm sorry, that's not the question, but I just find that interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess it's
Interesting.
whatever job she's in, that's not a possibility.
Wow.
So let's look and see what we've got. I did do my shuffling earlier and my intention about being open to the questions today.
Would you reread the?
Oops.
Oh, I'll pick those up. And would
you,
you
sorry.
reread the first part of that question?
Yes. And the deck I'm working with is the Good Tarot, and it's a really super sweet, lovey-dovey deck. I have to say, I kind of like it.
Beautiful pictures.
Yeah, very positive and affirmative. So this is for Grace, and it said, is there anything I can do to help meet my life partner? I'm unable to join dating sites because of my job, and I'm open to suggestions.
Okay.
Okay, so for Grace, we've got Queen of Cups in reverse. She's called Queen of Water in this. Two of Swords or Two of Air in this deck. And Ace of Fire, which would be Ace of Wands. All right, so you've started looking. Do you have any insights first, Michelle?
I am. It's interesting. I'm drawn immediately to it's Ace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of Wands.
Yes.
It feels like that it's through something not. It's through a creative activity, an outside activity, and I don't mean that you have to go sign up for every thing just to. I'm not sending her. What's her name again?
Grace.
Grace. I'm not sending you on a wild goose chase to go sign up for every, creative activity you can think of. I'm saying something that you're very interested in. I feel like it will happen organically through that.
Okay.
It feels like the inspiration that you have of finding something within yourself and finding the love and passion within yourself of things that you like to do will lead eventually to a partner. Okay. I just go there first.
Well, what I'm seeing, going back to the Queen of Cups in reverse, emotionally you're not fully available yet. But I feel like there is a reason that you're holding back. And part of that has to do with that Two of Swords and some kind of decision that you've got to make or a crossroads that you're going to have to get to. But once that's completed, I feel like, boom, you are going to be like a burst of fire out of control. And also, it's like you're just going to be, I hate to say this, but your aura is going to be dripping sexual fire. So I feel like once you get through this decision or this crossroads, everything is going to come together, and I feel like you'll be much more open and available. And it's like, yeah, you're sizzling. And I think that, there wouldn't be a reason that at that point you're going to be very inviting and very desirable for people to connect with. And there's no shortage of beauty here. Like, I feel like you're a very attractive person. It's just not your time right now. Your mind is elsewhere, and you're not as emotionally available or open or ready yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do one more?
One more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look. Ooh, sorry. Want to read that one?
Yeah.
Shuffle.
So this is for Cassie. Is there anything I should know about to follow, be doing?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's my typing.
Okay. So is there anything I should know about to be doing my life purpose? I feel like I'm on the right track, and I like the people I work with. I also feel energetically stuck, and that some things are not flowing as they should be. I want to lose the stuck feeling.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I take these questions from Facebook, and then I type them up and put them into the box. So,
hey, easily say it was my reading.
Well, I'm used to my autocorrect on my texting, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what we have for Cassie here. All right. So, King of Swords or King of Air in this in reverse. We've got Page of Fire, which would be Page of Wands.
Beautiful card.
And then Messenger of Water, which would be Knight of Cups, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
You start.
okay. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I have to look at the question again.
Okay. Purpose and feeling stuck. Energetically stuck.
Okay. Well, first off, I feel like there's someone that you need to be able to express yourself with genuinely, and with this King of Swords, and whether it's a male figure or a female figure, I feel like you don't know what to say to this person, and they're not necessarily open to listening to you on it or to hearing what you want to say. And maybe that's how you're saying it, or maybe there's a lesson to be learned there. There is a sense that you're kind of on this growing trajectory now, and you know the direction you want to go, and that's being the Page of Fire. So, but it's still, it's a new level. It's a beginning for you. So you've got to develop and kind of grow in this area. And I see that you're hungry for that and ready to continue in that direction. And there is going to be uncertainty. We've got a huge moon here, but we've also these really magical, fiery colors that are illuminating you. And there's also this sense of yourself as a woman that's about to, really be developed, and you haven't fully taken ownership of that. I've got like this hiding tiger at the bottom. But finally, with this Messenger of Water, which would be Knight of Cups, this is coming into your own. It's maturing. It's becoming more graceful. It's becoming more emotionally open and confident. And I think maybe that's one of the things that you're seeing with this King of Air here is maybe not feeling as confident, or not meeting the demands or expectations there. And so maybe that's making you feel a little insecure. Michelle?
I'm going to leave it at that. I think you did a great job on that reading. So I'm going to leave it there.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, but you're totally in the right direction. You're coming into your own. You're really facing some insecurities and a little bit of a learning curve. So don't be frightened of it, though. You'll definitely get more and more effective with this.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we are about out of time. And we want to join you. Thank you for joining us today and thinking with your third eye. So we'll see you again next week.